Hey, welcome to my channel. Are you over 40 and feeling overwhelmed? Well, let me ask you, when was the last time that you truly felt at peace? I mean, really at peace. Where you weren't chasing calm, you weren't trying to control every little thing, and you weren't constantly second guessing yourself. Well, in today's video, I want to talk about the silent sabotagers that might be robbing you of that peace. The ones that you don't even see coming. The ones that live in the background of your mind and quietly shape how you feel, how you act, and how you see yourself. Because here's the truth. Most of the stress, worry, and even anxiety that you carry isn't really even yours. It was planted in you, passed down through the generations, learned from family, culture, and religion, and even politics. And if peace of mind always seems just out of reach, chances are these hidden influences are running the show without your permission. I know this because I've lived it, and let me tell you, it's exhausting. As a woman in my 50s, I can say we go through so much unnecessary stress, layer upon layer of pressure, expectations, and judgment, most of which we didn't even choose for ourselves. I used to ask myself all the time, why can't I just feel calm? Why am I always chasing peace? Always second guessing myself and never being fully present? Can you relate to that? It wasn't until I stopped and really asked myself, where are these thoughts coming from, that I realized something life changing. I was living by scripts that I didn't even write, scripts that I had inherited without questioning, silently dictating my life. And I'll tell you, there are three big sabotagers that I had to face to start taking my peace back. Before we dive into them, I want to share a tool that's helped me tremendously. Affirmations. They became a way to gently remind myself of my own truth, to reprogram those inherited patterns, and to reclaim my inner calm. I've created a free set of affirmations just for you. They're powerful phrases that you can repeat daily to take back your peace and your power. You'll find the link in the pinned comment below. Now, let's take a look at those sabotagers. The first silent sabotager, family views. You know those phrases that you've heard over and over? That's not how we do things. A good daughter wouldn't. You should always put others first. Or, we don't talk about those feelings. Well, we love our families and we want to honor them, but let's be honest, their voices can stick around in our heads long after we've grown up. Many of our default thoughts come directly from what we saw or heard as kids. Maybe a parent said, money doesn't grow on trees, and suddenly you're carrying a scarcity mindset well into adulthood. Or perhaps the message was, don't speak up, don't cause waves. And now you hesitate to express your thoughts, to assert yourself. Culture and society conditioning us often sneaks in through family as well. Beliefs about gender, success, appearances, or aging can run so deep that we don't even notice. They become autopilot scripts that we follow without questioning. And then there's generational trauma. Patterns of fear, worry, or perfectionism can pass down like invisible heirlooms. These patterns might have helped our ancestors survive, but in our lives, they can leave us second guessing ourselves. They can leave us anxious and restless. On top of that, our inner self talk is often shaped by the voices of our parents, our teachers, or peers. Critical comments and subtle judgments and subtle judgments and even well-meaning advice can echo for decades. They create a persistent inner critic that can make us doubt our every choice. But here's the thing. Nature doesn't carry inherited scripts. A tree doesn't question if it's worthy of sunlight. It doesn't wait for permission. It just grows. A river doesn't pause to ask if it's the right direction. A wildflower doesn't compare itself to the flower next to it. The forest, the sky, the animals, They show us the simple truth. Growth, presence, and authenticity don't need validation. They just are. And when we pay attention, we can start to learn from that model in our own lives. So, as a aside, I wanted to um, let everybody know about my experience with my parents when I was growing up. I remember getting so excited about things, and I would get loud, and maybe, I don't know. I guess they seemed to think it was inappropriate, my loudness and my excitement, that they would just shush me down. You know, calm down, Michelle, calm down. Let's just be quiet. At least that's how I remember things. So that really affected me my whole entire life. In fact, it took me a very long time to even get on video or record myself because like, who wants to hear what I have to say? Who wants to look at me? Who wants to hear me? you know, my own parents didn't even want to hear me. So that's a negative thing that I had to live throughout my whole life, that I had to try to get over one by one. And it's taken me until I got into my 50s to do this. So there is always hope. And I really would like to spare you the trouble of going through all of that, because I had to learn this all myself. I had to wade through the waters and figure out what works and try this and try that. And so if I could just help somebody save a little bit of time, um, that would be very beneficial to you. Okay, enough about me. Yay, me. The second silent sabotager is religious views. Maybe you felt maybe you felt it. The guilt, the fear, the constant pressure to measure up to a version of perfection that never even felt like you. Religion can bring comfort and guidance and community, but it could also leave behind patterns that limit us. Rules and fears and judgments that we internalize can stick long after we've stepped away. You might have inherited messages like, always put yourself last, never question authority, or you're not enough. You're not enough unless you meet these standards. Even if you don't consciously follow those teachings anymore, they can linger. They can show up as hesitation, self doubt, or judgment towards yourself and others. But stop for a second and think. How often do you notice those little thoughts creeping in? That internal should or must that came from years ago. They quietly shape the choices that we make, the way that we respond to challenges, and even how you treat yourself. But nature reminds us of a different way. The forest doesn't shame a wildflower for blooming too early. The river doesn't condemn itself for carving a new path. Birds don't ask for permission to sing. Growth and exploration and authenticity are simply a part of life. By noticing these inherited religious patterns, we start to loosen them, to step outside of guilt or fear, and to allow ourselves to simply be. The third silent sabotager is political views. These beliefs, like religious ones, are often inherited from our family, our community, or our culture. They shape how we see the world and often how we see ourselves. Rigid political beliefs can create thought patterns like us versus them, or the idea that there's only one right way to live or succeed or belong. They can trap us in judgment, fear, or hopelessness. The constant push to pick a side, to stay outraged, to stay in debate. Well, that noise doesn't just exist in the news. It infiltrates our thoughts, our mood, and our ability to feel calm. Suddenly, it's not just about politics, it's about how safe you feel, how hopeful you are, or how much peace that you allow yourself to experience. Nature again shows us a different way. In a forest, diversity isn't a weakness, it's the ecosystem's strength. Different plants and animals coexist. When we pay attention, we see that thriving comes from balance, not judgment. And we can start to apply that same principle in our lives. So when we look at these influences, family, religion, and politics, we see how they act as silent sabotagers. They're like background programs running in our minds, quietly shaping our reactions, our choices, and even how we see ourselves. But here's the good news: once you recognize them, you can step outside of them. You can choose differently. You can decide which thoughts to keep, which beliefs to question, and which scripts to rewrite. Nature whispers a powerful truth. Peace, authenticity, and growth are always possible. Trees don't wait for approval to grow. Rivers don't wait to carve a path. Wildflowers bloom when it's time. And we can learn from that. We don't have to live by borrowed scripts anymore. You can take your power back. You can step into a life where you have choices, where you're calm and your growth is yours, fully yours. If this message resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe. I'll be sharing more tools to help you reclaim your inner calm and your personal power. And if you're ready to release these borrowed beliefs and reconnect with your peace, download your free set of affirmations below. Use them daily. Let them remind you of your own truth. Start reclaiming your power today, because this is where your freedom and your peace begin. Next up, you can check out this other video on why stress isn't the enemy.